Hi, welcome to low-sal-life. My name is Sarah, and today we're making a pound cake, and we're gonna do a low-sal maple twist on it. So what spurred pound cake, because I actually don't eat a lot of sweets, but every once in a while you need a little something, right? And so what spurred this was these goose eggs. A pound cake gets its name from a pound of eggs, pound of sugar, pound of flour, pound of salt. Okay, not salt, pound of butter. Butter, eggs, flour, sugar. There's actually no salt in this recipe, but I am using salted butter. Today we're gonna add maple syrup for a flavor. If I had maple extract, I would be more tempted to use extract, but I haven't actually tested it for any reactions or anything, so we're just gonna go with plain old maple syrup. And if you are on a low-sal diet and have had maple extract, please leave your comments down below if it's a yay or nay. So then I was thinking that maybe we might make a maple flavored glaze for the top. And I'm out of pears. I'm not going to the grocery store for another week, but I feel like this would taste really good with some fresh pears. I'm just saying. I actually get my eggs delivered to my house once every 2 weeks or so, and I asked my egg guy the last time I placed my order if he had any duck eggs, because I only get chicken, and I thought that maybe he might have another animal that he's raising. And he said he didn't have any duck eggs because they were hatching them this year, but next year they should have some. And I said, okay, thanks for letting me know. I've also talked to him about goat milk too, but I mentioned that I eat a lot of animal products and that I have a very limited diet, and so I like to diversify my animal products. And he brought me 4 goose eggs. I was so excited. I actually haven't had goose eggs. Maybe as a kid, I remember playing with goose eggs, like doing arts and crafts with them, but I don't remember eating them. My mom probably fed them to us, and I didn't even know. The first thing you want to do is to measure your limiting factor. And you thought you could get away with no science in a cooking video. So in that case, that means like what do I have that is limited? Like what do I not have more of in the house? And that are my goose eggs. So I'm gonna weigh those. Ideally, you would have a pound of eggs, but I want to use 2 goose eggs, and so I'm going to adjust my recipe for the rest. So these measure out at 11.4 ounces. So I'm going to round down because there's eggshell. I actually read that the eggshell is 12% by mass in a study for goose eggs, but we're just going to round down to 11 ounces. And then I have already magically pre-measured some sugar, flour, and butter. The butter's actually 12 ounces, so I'll have to take an ounce off of that. The last thing you'll need if you want to add a flavor is the 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. I do want to say is start with salted butter. That is at room temperature. My eggs are also at room temperature. They are not cold. What I'm going to do right now is just sieve the flour. It's not mandatory, but if you want to do it right and you want it to come out like perfect, I recommend just sieving it real quick. And real quick, while we're talking about flour, I actually thought I was gluten-free for many years, and by many I mean 12. And with a little confusion, the start and end of that. But I use an organic, unfortified flour. I think this one is King Arthur's. I also use a Bob's Red Mill. But basically I look for a white flour that does not have folic acid. It is not fortified. It doesn't have any added nutrients, so in the process, nutrients are taken away. In 1996 to 98, the government started putting nutrients back in as a mandatory fortified program, and I am very sensitive to it. I don't know if it's the same thing that has to do with salicylates or not. It's just my tip. I get migraines if I have too many vitamin Bs too fast, and so now I'm able to eat wheat. Just no B vitamins in there, so that's my tip of the day. So we're gonna sift this flour. actually. And to be honest, I would not have a sifter if it wasn't for my husband. I've never owned one of these. And I used to bake all the time as a kid and teenager, and I've always baked. I do have to say, I was living a little bit like a bachelor when my husband found me, so like we don't even have furniture in our living room. What are you gonna do? Now I'm gonna crack open the duck eggs, and I've heard these are hard to open sometimes. Oh yeah. That's a lot of egg. So much fun. I'm going to start with the butter. We're going to cream it for about 2 minutes. I pulled out my 1 ounce of butter, so I have 11 ounces of butter here. Next, we're going to add the sugar. We have 11 ounces. This is going to be, we're going to mix it, beat it for about 3 to 5 minutes. Might seem like a long time, but what we're doing is adding air into the mixture because we're not using leavening in the pound cake. Okay, that looks great. Okay, now we're going to add the eggs. We want to add them very slowly. We want to spread them out over like 3 to 5 minutes and get them mixed in. What we're doing is creating an emulsion with the eggs, so we need to add them slowly. Otherwise they'll be gross. Okay, and now a little bit of fun. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. This is completely optional, and we'll see how it turns out at the end. I couldn't find a teaspoon, so I'm using a half teaspoon. Last step is to fold the flour in. So we've already sifted it. You just want to mix it. You don't want to over stir it. But the flour needs to be wet. Okay. Looks good. It's looking good. Parchment paper because I don't like washing dishes. And it will transfer out much easier. You got lots of butter in the cake, so there's not really a reason to line your container. Now we're going to put it in the oven for 350 degrees and we're going to cook it for about 50 to 60 minutes until there's a moist crumb. We don't want a squeaky clean little knife or toothpick. We want just slightly crumbly so that it's still moist. So we're going to put this in. Oh, I just checked on the cake and it looks awesome. We're gonna get going on the maple glaze and see what we can make for that. To make the glaze, we're going to add 1 cup powdered sugar, 4 tablespoons of maple syrup, and 1 tablespoon of half and half or heavy cream. I don't have half and half, so. And then you're gonna mix it together. Yeah. If you find that your icing is too thick, just add a little bit more cream or milk half and half, cream, heavy cream, it doesn't really matter. But just add a little bit more of that to thin it out. If you find out that you over thinned it, then just add some more powdered sugar. It really doesn't need to be complicated. You know the cake is done. So this is contrary to what we're normally taught. We're taught that to pull it out, to check the batter, and it should be squeaky clean. You really want a moist crumb. So we're going to try and not overcook the cake and have a few little crumbs on there. Next, we're gonna pull out and cool on the baking rack. Do not let it cool in the pan. Now, I like parchment paper because that way I can pull the whole thing out and let it sit in the pan. I don't have to worry about it sticking to the bottom or anything. If you leave it in the pan, you'll actually get steam on the outside because it's basically getting wet from the steam. Okay, we are almost done and I'm so excited. The first thing I want to say is using the parchment paper, I don't know if you can tell, but there are some wrinkles in the cake, so if you don't like that, don't do it. But this is what I like. I pulled this out quite a while ago. There is nothing to clean up. It's just gorgeous. And yeah, I don't really care to do dishes. So anyway, the It is not hot. It has sat for a few minutes and cooled down by a few, I mean, like 15 or 20. I've got the glaze here, and I am going to just pour it over. And I'm going to use the whisk, but you can use whatever. I've got a spatula here I'm going to use. And you just want to cover it while it's still warm, and that way it just kind of melts kind of all over. We want it to cover the whole top. It will drizzle off the edges. It's okay. You just want to cover the whole top, and then ultimately we want it to dribble down the sides. I don't really care what it looks like on the sides. I just want it to taste good. Yeah, I'm a classic introvert, so there's nobody coming over for like tea and crumpets. Try and get some drips going. I actually have a little bit of a ledge here from where it kind of went over, so I don't think I'll be getting very many drips on this side. The nice thing about a glaze is that it's kind of like lace and sewing or trim. You can cover up all your imperfections. This side looks way better. Look at that. Do I see any parchment paper folds? No, not really. I am really happy about how it turned out. But now, the true test, the taste test. I'm gonna let this cool maybe another 20 minutes. It's past my bedtime. I like warm cake, so I'm going to cut into this before it's completely cooled. And I am going to bring a special guest, Randy, out, and we're gonna do a little taste test and see what he thinks. So, okay, so we are now in the testing phase. This is Randy, my husband, and he has decided to join us to say whether or not it's good. And if you don't know anything about Randy, he is a very picky eater.
Yes.
That was really good.
This one passes the test.
Really?
I'll eat this. That's tasty.
Yeah, I like the vanilla in it, or the maple.
Did it weigh 1 pound? Your pound cake?
No. But you can watch the beginning of my video
Fail.
to find out why it doesn't weigh a pound.
Okay.
That's all for tonight. Thanks so much for joining Low-Sal-Life. Feel free to check out some of my other videos, and Randy and I are going to finish our cake.